Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahanta Rako Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopa Lako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarnana Vido Shraddha Samridhyanvito Papotapanikritano Tanubhritam Govinda Ganamritai Anandam Buddhivardhanaika Nipuno Kaivalya Nishtarako Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Tyaktva Turnama Shesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadatu Chavat Bhutva Dina Ganeshako Karunaya Kopina Kanta Srito Gopi Bhava Rasamritabdi Lahari Kalola Magno Moho Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Kujat Kokila Hamsa Sarasagana Kirne Mayura Kule Nana Ratna Nibada Mula Virtapa Shri Yukta Vrindavane Radha Krishna Mahanisham Prabhajato Jivata Doyo Muda Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibi Kalavasani Krita Nidrahara Vikarakadi Vijito Chatyanta Dino Chayo Radha Krishna Gunasmrite Madhuriman Nandena samohito Vande upasanatano raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Radha Kunda Tate Kalinda Tanaya Tire Chaivam Shivate Prenmon Madhava Shada Shrisha Dasaya Gasto Pramato Sada Gayanto Chakada Hare Gunavaram Bhava Vibhuto Muda Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako He Radhe Rajadevike Chalalite He Nanda Suno Kuta Shri Govardhana Kalpa Padapatale Kalindi Vane Kuta Goshanta Viti Sarvato Rajapure Keder Mahavivalo Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Upasanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. Do we have a hand mic? Yeah. So we'll take turns reading the translations. I'll read the first one. First one. Offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They're just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all revealed scripture with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored over the three worlds, and their work taking shelter of, because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya and who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all conditioned souls from the reaction of their sinful activities by pouring upon them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis,
namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who kicked off all association of aristocracy as insignificant. In order to deliver the poor conditioned souls, they accepted loincloths, treating themselves as mendicants, but they are always merged in the ecstatic ocean of the gopis' love for Krishna and bathe always and repeatedly in the waves of that ocean.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rup Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in worshipping Radha Krishna in the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where there are beautiful trees full of fruits and flowers which have under their roots all valuable jewels. The Goswamis are perfectly competent to bestow upon the living entities the greatest boon of the goal of life.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sananta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down a scheduled measurement. In this way, they utilize their valuable lives in executing these devotional activities. They conquered over eating and sleeping and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are sometimes on the bank of the Radhakund lake or the shores of the Yamuna, and sometimes at Vamsivata. There they appeared just like madmen in the full ecstasy of love for Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their bodies, and they were merged in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan, shouting, "Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani! O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan? Or are you under the trees on the bank of the Yamuna? Where are you?" These were their moods in executing Krishna consciousness.
Shri Sad Goswami Astakam Ki Jai. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanharanjana Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astutarshata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astutarshata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Shri Vasant Panchami Mahamahotsava Ki Jai Shri Vishnu Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi Avirbhav Titi Mahamahotsava Ki Jai Shri Saraswati Puja Ki Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Tirabhav Titi Mahamahotsava Ki Jai Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi Avirbhav Titi Mahamahotsava Ki Jai Shri Raghunandan Thakur Avirbhav Titi Mahamahotsava Ki Jai Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Avirbhav Titi Mahamahotsava Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, chapters entitled Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. And today, which slokas are we reading? 19 to 22. Okay. Text number 19. Visasajatmana kayam nabinandans tamomayam jaghur yaksha rakshamsi ratpim kshutrit samudbhavam visasajatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jaghur yaksha rakshamsi ratrim kshutrit samudbhavam. Visasarjatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jagur yaksharakshamsi ratrim kshutrit samudbhavam. Please chant. Visasarjatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jagur yaksharakshamsi ratrim shutrit samudbhavam. Visasarjatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jagur yaksharakshamsi ratrim shutrit samudbhavam. Visasarjatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jagur yaksharakshamsi ratrim shutrit samudbhavam. Vaishnavis. Visarjatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jagur yaksharakshamsi ratrim shutrit samudbhavam. Visarjatmana kayam nabinandam stamomayam jagur yaksharakshamsi ratrim shutrit samudbhavam. Visarsarja, threw off atmanaha, his own, kayam, body, na, not, abhinandan, being pleased, tamamayam, made of ignorance, jagrahu, took possession, yaksharakshamsi, the yakshas and rakshasas, ratrim, night, shut, hunger, trit, thirst, samudbhavam, the source. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Out of disgust, Brahma threw off the body of ignorance, and taking this opportunity, yakshas and rakshasas sprang for possession of the body, which continued to exist in the form of night. Night is the source of hunger and thirst. Text 20. Translation. Overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour Brahma from all sides and cried, "Spare him not! Eat him up!" Purport. the representatives of the yakshas and rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a quote-unquote love feast by roasting the bodies. Text 21. Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore, you are yakshas and rakshasas." Purport. The demons who were born from the body of Brahma were called yakshas and rakshasas because some of them cried that Brahma should be eaten, and others cried that he should not be protected. The ones who said that he should be eaten were called the yakshas, and the ones who said that he should not be protected became rakshasas, man-eaters. The two, yakshas and rakshasas, are the original creation by Brahma and are represented even until today in the uncivilized men who are scattered all over the universe. They are born of the mode of ignorance, and therefore, because of their behavior, they are called rakshasas, or man-eaters. Text 22. He then created the chief demigods who were shining with the glory of goodness. He dropped before them the effulgent form of daytime, and the demigods sportingly took possession of it. Purport. Demons were born of the creation of night, and the demigods were born from the creation of day. In other words, demons like the yakshas and rakshasas are born of the quality of ignorance, and demigods are born of the quality of goodness. Om Gnanatirmandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20. Chapter is entitled The Conversation Between Maitreya and Vidura. And in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, we're hearing how Lord Brahma is undergoing the service of the creation. And he's undergoing a lot of austerities, a lot of tapasya, a lot of obstacles, a lot of difficulties in his service. We heard how he created his sons, and they ran to attack him for sex life. They wanted to have sex with their own father, Lord Brahma. And he like jokingly kind of ran away from them, but they were serious, and it was a very difficult situation. And as a result, he threw off his body out of disgust. And who grabbed that body? It was the yakshas and the rakshasas. And Prabhupada, he makes really an amazing purport, a stunningly amazing purport that just shows the great variety of moods that Srila Prabhupada expresses when he writes his purports, which actually he explains as his ecstasies, that Lord Krishna is speaking through me, these purports. He says, I'm not actually writing these purports. These purports are written by Lord Krishna. That's why Prabhupada reads his own books. So this amazing purport written by Lord Krishna through Srila Prabhupada. And before I get into this, I just want to mention that we can learn a very important lesson here, that in our services, there may be many austerities, many difficulties and many obstacles. Hopefully, it's not going to get as difficult as Lord Brahma being chased by his own sons for sex life. I hope we don't have to face those situations ourselves. That's actually one advantage of being a sannyasi, is that you don't have sons that are going to engage in these kind of abominable activities. But there are plenty of people on the planet that are more than willing to engage in abominable activities. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport of Bhagavad Gita, the 13th chapter, text 8, he speaks about the importance of tolerance of the preacher. Amanidvam adamvitvam ahimsa kshantir arjavam acharyo pashanam shocham staryam atma vinigraha. This is a first of a series of 5 verses in which 20 different items of knowledge are explained. Among them are tolerance. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that tolerance means the devotees are going to go door to door and person to person, appealing for the public to accept the matchless gift of Krishna consciousness. But when they go and approach people, more often than not, they'll be disregarded, disrespected, they'll be dissed, they'll be highly disrespected, and sometimes even physically assaulted, as we hear in the case of Lord Nityananda being smashed on the head with a clay pot, as we hear in the case of Lord Jesus Christ being crucified on the cross for preaching God consciousness. Like this, the preacher of Krishna consciousness, more often than not, it's a thankless task. But this is our duty out of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara for offering Krishna consciousness to us. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, how can we repay our debt to you, Srila Prabhupada? And Srila Prabhupada said, the debt to the spiritual master can never be repaid, but one should try to do that. And that endeavor to try to repay the debt, Prabhupada said, just do as I have done. What I have given you, just try to give this to others. So the preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, Bharati Bhumate He Hoy, Manusya Janma Jar, Janma Satakakari, Para Upakar. They're offering para, the topmost, upakar, welfare work, the distribution of Krishna consciousness. But it's a thankless task. And we see Brahma, he's trying to do his service of the creation, and look what's happening to him. He's getting attacked by his own children. And they want to have sex with him, and now they want to eat him. Eat him up, spare him not. You know, they're just... Imagine, walking down the street, you come into Atlantic Avenue, set up the Harinam, start chanting, and then big gang of people go, look at them, eat them up, spare them not. They break out their like plastic forks and spoons, their sporks, they go for you. So this situation happens all over the world. Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport that there are still cannibals on the planet that actually eat people. And the material world is no place for a gentleman. Padam padam yevi padam natesham. There's danger at every step. And this purport is just really amazing. Let's see, here it is. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the representatives of the yakshas and rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. And of course in New York we get people from so many countries of the world to come here. Who knows what habits they bring with them? I was in Times Square yesterday, and my good friend Vallabhacharya Prabhu, he was sharing with me that within 1 hour in Times Square, people from 180 different countries pass through there. So all kinds of people are coming through there. The representatives of the yakshas and rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. Now here Prabhupada is sharing a little transcendental sarcasm and a little transcendental humor by referring to this episode as a love feast. Because this is the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is probably writing in the early 1970s, this third canto. And that time the love feast was becoming very popular. So in order to contextualize the act, Prabhupada refers to this as a love feast in a sarcastic way. So here we see the sarcastic, morbid, it's like a morbid humor. It's like a ghastly ras, it's a ghastly, morbid humor that Prabhupada is exhibiting here, which is rare, but this is a different flavor, a different color of Srila Prabhupada's presentation. Killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. So the only hope in this world is Krishna consciousness. And we take inspiration from our great acharyas and the great souls in the past who have spread Krishna consciousness. Dira adira priya kriya karo. The 6 Goswamis, they're very dear, priya, to the gentle and the ruffians. So the 6 Goswamis, they could preach to the gentlemen and also to the cannibals. They could preach to anyone because of their very advanced nature. So to just gain a little inspiration, I'd like to share a few drops of the ocean of the wonderful qualities and pastimes of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, because today is his appearance day. And he's known as the Prayojana Acharya of ISKCON, the Prayojana Acharya of our Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya. The topmost aspiration is represented by Raghunath Das Goswami, and especially his unparalleled renunciation. Incredible renunciation. Renunciation means to give up. In order to give up, first you must have something. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he was born in Srikhanda, West Bengal. His father was Govardhan Majumdar. His uncle was Hiranya Majumdar. And between these two Majumdars, they were multi-billionaires by today's standards. And he was the only son. He was the heir to their fortune. He was the inheritor of their family business. And Hiranya and Govardhan were great Vaishnavas, and they would give big donations to support the Vaishnav community. They would often donate to Advaita Acharya, and they would appreciate and support Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur, but Haridas Thakur was living in a cave. He did not need financial support. He was living so simply. But still, their priest, the priest of the Majumdars, Yadunandan Acharya, he would regularly go and meet Haridas Thakur. And he would bring little Raghunath Das with him to meet Haridas. And by virtue of that association, because Haridas would always speak the glories and pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, little Raghunath Das became very, very enthusiastic to meet and to serve Lord Chaitanya. But he would never have the opportunity to do that. So then his desire and intensity became so great that he would try to run away from home to go and meet Lord Chaitanya. And Govardhan and Hiranya Majjumadar, they had to hire 12 or 14 men just to guard him. And whenever he would run away, like at night, late night, he would run away to try to go and meet Lord Chaitanya. And the guards would chase him. It would be a big chase scene. Raghunath would be running, trying to get away, and then catch him, bring him back. And they would drag him back home. One night, Yadunandan Acharya, the family priest, came and met little Raghunath. He wasn't so little, he was growing up, Raghunath Das. And he said, I have a great problem. Oh, what is the problem, Guruji? The problem is the pujari in my temple has run away. Has that ever happened here? Maybe. It's a long history here. What should I do? There's no pujari. Please speak to him, find the pujari, convince him to come back. So Raghunath Das said, don't worry, Guruji. You go home, go to sleep, I will find him. So because Raghunath Das was with Yadunandan Acharya, the guards were like, oh, he's with the family priest, no problem. So they let him go. And then Raghunath Das told Yadunandan Acharya, I'll take care of it, go to sleep. So Yadunandan went to sleep. So that was Raghunath Das's opportunity. The scriptures never say if Raghunath Das ever went and spoke to the pujari or not. But he took the opportunity and he began running and running and running and running in the direction of Puri. And after 10 or 12 days, only eating 3 times during the course of the journey, once in a goshala drinking some milk and getting some milk here and there, only 3 times eating, he reached Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, he attained the association of Lord Chaitanya. And it is only because he received the blessings of Lord Nityananda that Raghunath Das was able to travel to Puri and get the association of Lord Chaitanya. That was at Panihati, when there was a great Panihati festival, which we'll hear more about in a few days on Nityananda Trayodashi, when we'll be installing the wonderful deity of Lord Nityananda. So by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Raghunath Das, he traveled and he met Lord Chaitanya in Puri. Lord Chaitanya instructed his secretary, Swarup Damodar, help him shave and bathe and give him some fresh clothes, and let him come here after darshan of Lord Jagannath and take the remnants of my own prasadam. So then daily, Raghunath Das was getting the Mahaprasadam, remnants of Lord Chaitanya. And then, for some reason, he stopped coming. Lord Chaitanya asked Swarup Damodar, why has Raghunath Das stopped coming to take prasadam? And then Swarup Damodar said, Raghunath, he says that all this Mahaprasadam is too opulent for him. So he's going to the free food booths. Now first he's begging from the pujaris. When they come out of the temple at night, they have little Mahaprasadam with them. Have you experienced that? When the pujaris come out, they have a little Mahaprasadam with them. So he would beg that Mahaprasadam. So Lord Chaitanya was very pleased. And then after a few days, Lord Chaitanya asked Swarup Damodar, where is Raghunath Das eating now? And Swarup Damodar said, he stopped begging prasadam from the pujaris. Oh, why is that? Because he says it is cultivating the mentality of a prostitute. That man came, enjoyed me yesterday, and gave me money. And I see him again today. Maybe same person will give me money today. So this mentality he wanted to vanquish. Not that he sees same pujari. Oh, this pujari gave me yesterday. Maybe again he will give me today. So where is he eating prasadam now? He's going to the free food booths. It's like a Food for Life program in Jagannath Puri. They give free food, but very, very simple. So Lord Chaitanya was pleased. He was satisfied. After a few days, Raghunath Das, he stopped eating prasadam at the free food booths. At night, he went to the Simha Dwaram, the gate, the lion gate of the Jagannath Mandir. And next to the lion gate was where the Mahaprasadam sellers would throw their old Mahaprasadam after it started getting stale and rotten. And there was a smell coming from there. And the Kalinga cows, they would go and eat that rotting prasadam. At night, Raghunath Das would go there. He would take some of the rotten rice and scrape the outside rotting section off until only the hard inner section was left. And that is what he would eat. One night, while he was collecting this prasadam, Lord Chaitanya came there and he confronted Raghunath Das. Oh, Raghunath, what is this nectar that you are eating? You're keeping it all to yourself. Share it with me. Swarup Damodar was also there. No, my lord, no. And Raghunath Das was holding on to that tiny grains of rice. And Mahaprabhu forcibly opened his hand and forcibly ate that prasadam. And he said, oh, never have I had such nectar as this. Because Lord Chaitanya was tasting the nectar of Raghunath Das's renunciation, his detachment from enjoying the material things of this world, even to the extent of enjoying the taste of Mahaprasadam. Raghunath Das was so renounced. He wanted the most simple thing. Again, Lord Chaitanya reached out his hand to take more, and Swarup Damodar stopped him and said, no, my lord, this is not for you. So an incredible standard of renunciation. Nidrahara Vikarahadi Vijito. The 6 Goswamis, they're completely freed and above the platform of being attached to eating and sleeping. Completely above the bodily conception, the material conception. We cannot imitate them, but we should aspire to get the taste of Krishna consciousness that they have. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Vishaya vinivartante. Chapter 2, text number 41, I believe. Vishaya vinivartante. One should be free from vishaya. Vishaya means sense gratification. One should give up these habits. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasi dehinaha. This dehi, this body, should not be absorbed in the sense gratification. But it's very difficult to give up these bad habits. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya. But one can give up this rasa of sense gratification by param dristva nivartate. Param, topmost, dristva, taste, gets. One can get a higher taste. So Raghunath Das was exhibiting that higher taste. How? Because he was constantly engaging in singing and chanting and dancing and feasting. Not feasting, but chanting and dancing. Feasting on the most simple prasadam. But for him it was a feast. He was tasting the bhakti, the mahaprasadam. So, I love to give this example. It's an illustrative example. It's my favorite example. Okay. Haribo! I want to share my favorite example with you. Okay? You're with me? Die. So, it's the Kitri example. So one time, I was getting ready to travel from Pandharpur to Pune. I was going to go for a week. And I was really hungry before I left, so I made some Kitri prasadam. So I had this really nice Kitri prasadam, and I said, you know, when I come back, I'm still going to be hungry, so let me keep half of it in the fridge. So I ate half the Kitri, and I saved the other half in the refrigerator. Now in India, there's something called Bisli. You know what is Bisli? Bisli Katam. Bisli Katam means the electricity goes out. It's a very common factor of life. That's one of the reasons Indian people like to come and live in America, isn't it? Because Bisli chalenge, the electricity continues going. So the electricity cut, my Kitri was in the refrigerator. I came back after 1 week, and that Kitri had like grown like green, fuzzy, hairy edges and was smelling bad. So I opened up the fridge, took out the Kitri. I said, oh no, it got spoiled. But I'm so hungry. I want to eat this Kitri anyway. So I bring it to my ashram, and I sit down and I start to eat this stale, putrid love feast. And I start to take a few bites. Oh my God, I'm going for it. But then Krishna Das, who's staying in the next room, he sees what I'm doing. He says, no, don't eat that. Stop. Ruko, stop. And I say, no, I'm hungry. He tries to grab the plate. It's like a tug of war over the plate. He's trying to get the plate. I'm keeping the plate. He's taking the... And he said, I'll be right back. And I'm like taking a few small bites. And he runs next door to our Govinda's restaurant. Edibo. He gets a big plate, a full thali, rice, dal, sabji, chapati, sweet rice, kheer, gulab jamans, burfi. He brings it back. He says, here, take this. I grab that big thali, a fresh Govinda's prasadam, and he sweeps away that old Kitri. And I've got that nice thali, and I make no endeavor to get that Kitri back. So the moral of the story is, if you get something better, it's easy to give up something worse. So if we get Krishna consciousness, if we get a taste for hearing and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then we get a taste for Krishna consciousness. We can leave our taste for material sense gratification. And our Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, is a perfect example of such a success story that we should all take inspiration from, especially on this day of his appearance, when we can pray at his lotus feet that he can kindly bestow his mercy upon us, that we can also gain a taste for Krishna consciousness and leave our attachment for material sense enjoyment. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Gopal Champu Prabhu.
So I was just thinking, as you were reading this purport that mentions the love feast,
It's clear to me, and I'm sure clear to everyone else, how you're deeply relishing Srila Prabhupada's books and purports and contemplating and thinking about, the mood in which Prabhupada is explaining and the different mellows he's revealing. So we'd like to know, Maharaj, how can we also have this higher taste? Because we're also sitting in front of the Bhagavatam every day. We're also putting our hand in our bead bag. But it's like chalk, for myself at least, like dry bread, stale. So please, Maharaj, how can we have some taste?
Well, I believe you're asking, if I understand your question properly, how we can cultivate taste for the different processes of Krishna consciousness. So I believe that everyone sitting in this room has some taste to some degree, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here. There's so many other things we could be doing, but we're here working on this. Means we're getting something, we're experiencing something. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, text number 2, Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Prajakshavāgamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. Rajavidya, this is the king of knowledge. Rajaguyam, it's the king of secrets. Pavitram, it's the most pure thing. Uttamam, it's the topmost thing. Prajakshavāgamam Dharmyam, which means prajaksha, it can be experienced through the senses. It's an experience. It's not just theoretical. So, and susukam, it makes one very happy. Sukam means happiness, and the prefix su means very much. Su, Superman, right? Super happiness. You get super happiness. And avyayam. Avyayam means everlasting. So this prajakshavāgamam dharmyam indicates that Krishna consciousness is an experience. And all of us are having this experience to some degree because we're sitting here. Otherwise, why sit on a cold floor? Despite the fancy cushions, There are other more comfortable aspirations one can spend one's time. So the point I am trying to make is that we all have some taste for Krishna consciousness. We're getting it. It's just a question of how to increase it, intensify it, magnify it, so that it turns from a small spark into a blazing fire. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, he has a website called Fan the Spark. And it's all about how we have this spark of Krishna consciousness, but the spiritual master, he fans that spark. And it turns into like a blazing flame. So that's what we want. We want this blazing fire of enthusiasm. And this is best accomplished by the association of devotees, especially the advanced devotees, and engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service in the association of devotees. Association with devotees doesn't mean, hey, there's a new movie out in Times Square, let's go see the movie. I'll go with a few devotee friends. Devotee association. That's not devotee association. Devotee association means hearing and chanting together. 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivednam. So hearing and chanting in the association of devotees increases the intensity of the fire of devotional service. And when we're trying to light a fire, we should use dry wood. And if while we're trying to light a fire, we pour water on the fire, it will be very difficult to light the fire. So we have to avoid pouring water on that fire that we're trying to start. So that water is represented by different aspects of sense gratification, different ahar, different things that we eat with our senses. We don't just eat with our mouth, we eat with our eyes, our ears, our nose, our touch. These are all eating. We're all absorbing things into our consciousness. So be very, very careful what you allow through the gates of your body. It shouldn't pour water on the fire and that of diluting the intensity of our spiritual practices. So be careful if you're checking out some YouTube video for preaching purposes or study purposes or relishing purposes. YouTube will offer many other Mayic opportunities on the right side of the screen, right? Our YouTube algorithm is suggesting these options for you today. Don't be distracted. These are the part of the weapons of mass distraction. So we want to be focused. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurnandana bahu shaka hinantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. We should be one focused in our attention and not be distracted, or bahu shaka hinantascha, many branched. We should be one pointed and focused. Does that answer your question? Yes, okay, good, thank you. Maybe we can take one other brief question or comment. Yes, go ahead. Can you give her the microphone, please?
Thank you for the nice class, Maharaj. I was just thinking about this story about Raghunath Das Goswami, how he was eating rice. And for me, it sounds like it just to find food in such a way, it would be over endeavor rather than just go and eat something and just continue your devotional practices. How it can be understood? Because even like I hear on Ekadashi, we're not supposed to spend so much time on even making preparations or so. Like, I guess I'm thinking that
just a minute, please. Can you speak a little bit slower and take the mic a little bit further from your face and a little bit louder?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it just seems like we're not supposed to look for worse things.
We're not supposed to look for
the worst thing, but for the easier, attainable things.
We should look for those things that are attainable.
Like prasadam, for example.
Like prasadam is attainable.
Yeah,
okay.
And I just can't understand. Of course, it is a pastime, but why would Raghunath Das Goswami do something like that?
Why would Raghunath Das Goswami
do something like that about the rice story? Something like this?
Do something like this. Why would Raghunath Das Goswami eat that spoiled Mahaprasadam?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's showing us an example of extreme renunciation, that he's not at all interested in the satisfaction of his tongue. And he's also demonstrating that Mahaprasadam is transcendental and can be relished in any state because it has touched the lips of Lord Jagannath. I would like to share two examples to further clarify this. First of all, it's mentioned that the advanced devotee, when hears the Hare Krishna Mahamantra or chants, will go into ecstasy regardless of the musical accompaniment of the kirtan. We are very much accustomed, we like to have nice kartal playing, nice mridanga playing, maybe a veena. We like some sweet sounds along with our holy name. But a pure devotee who's so advanced just by hearing the syllables Krishna, will go into incredible ecstasy. Like Rupa Goswami said, when I hear the syllables Krishna, I wish I had thousands of tongues and millions of ears, and when the sound enters my ear holes, my senses go inert. It's not that he said, can't you play Chaital properly? Dadra Tal. He doesn't get involved with that. Just the sound of the mantra intoxicates him completely. So similarly, someone who's tasting the prasadam of Jagannath, it doesn't matter if it's a 12-layer cake or it's a grain of rotten rice. It doesn't make any difference because that's Jagannath's saliva on it. So that's what's relishable, not the external form of that prasadam or ornament of that prasadam. I was traveling with Param Puja Radhanath Swami Maharaj. We left Chopati, Radha Gopinath Mandir, and I carried some Mahaprasadam with me. Then we traveled several different countries all across Europe, and then we came to here, to the United States. And I met some devotees, I was with Maharaj, and I said, here, Radha Gopinath Mahaprasadam. And we've been traveling around 2 months. And Maharaj said to me, how old is that prasadam? And I said, around 2 months. He said, is it still good? Because he didn't want the devotees getting the prasadam to get sick or something or have a bad experience. And I said, of course, Maharaj, it's Mahaprasadam. And he said, oh, really? Then you eat all of it. So I did. And luckily it was still good, but by material standards. But the point is that, Mahaprasadam is Mahaprasadam. It doesn't matter the external form. Harinam is Harinam. Doesn't matter the external form. Shri Radha Govinda is dressed incredibly opulently. And we're attracted by the bhakti and the devotion expressed by the pujaris in dressing them like that. But ultimately, if Shri Radha and Govinda were dressed in less opulence, we should still be attracted to them. Personally, I like the summer dresses when Krishna's just wearing a chadar and bare-chested. I like that. That's also the way I like kirtan sometimes. I like it very sparse. One mridanga, one kartal, little tambura. Just focus on the holy name. So I hope I've been able to share some insight of my own perspective on your question, that why Raghunath Das Goswami is eating such extremely simple prasadam. Is that okay? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vasant Panchami Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi ki jai. Shri Saraswati Puja ki jai. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Tirabhav Titi Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi Avirbhav Titi Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Shri Raghunandan Thakur Avirbhav Titi Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Shri Raghunath Das Goswami Avirbhav Titi Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.